Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mindset Check. Today, we have a special guest, Marti Gellens. She's a top performer in her industry, and she's just going to share with us her routines, how she gets her mind prepped for the day. So, Marti, thanks for being on the call.
You're welcome. It's nice to be here.
So, Marti, people who are in real estate probably already know your name. For people who aren't, maybe young entrepreneurs or someone who's looking to get in the industry, tell us a little bit, if you could, about just how you've structured your business. First of all, you're a highly successful real estate agent in San Diego. You guys are super heavy in La Jolla, Rancho Santa Fe, really high luxury properties. Well, tell them a little bit about yourself, if you could.
Sure. So, I nice to be here, as I said, and Maxine, my mom, and I are business partners, and we have been business partners for 28 years. And prior to that, I was in the business for 9 years. So I've been at it for 37 years selling real estate. And it's been a wonderful career. It's obviously ebbed and flowed a lot, as does the market, as does the way we do business and et cetera. But we've had a wonderful long career. And we've always tried to kind of keep up with the times and keep up with the technology and keep up with, what's in the forefront so that we stay as relevant as possible always. My mom and I are both native San Diegans, so that's been a wonderful thing to be able to sell real estate in the community and in the city that we love and that we both have grown up in. So our focus is primarily coastal San Diego. And that is anything that basically hugs the I-5. So yes, Rancho Santa Fe and Carmel Valley all, come into that. But our primary focus is probably, La Jolla Del Mar,
Yes.
Rancho Santa Fe, Carmel Valley, Pacific Beach, Encinitas, Cardiff, Solana Beach, and in that area.
Yeah. Now, you talked about ebbing and flowing. I think in life, that's true, right? Even if you're not in real estate, that's applicable to just about anybody, right? And even if you're a stay-at-home mom, there's ebb and flow with what's going on at home. And how do you, as a professional, work through that ebb and flow when maybe there's an ebb and flow that isn't stroking your ego or isn't like feeling really positive? How do you navigate through that?
I guess it's a blessing and a curse, but I am a Libra,
Mm,
and Libras need to maintain balance. And I am that person to the core.
hmm
So it's always been something that I strive for. And if I'm out of balance, I got to really recheck and get in balance. I stay pretty even keeled, which really helps me.
hmm
Doesn't mean I'm not emotional. It doesn't mean I don't get upset. It doesn't mean I don't get super happy, but I always kind of bring it back, to the core. And I try not to let things, upset me too much and just stay focused on the task.
hmm
Our business is super stressful and
hmm
people are dealing with, a lot of money,
hmm
generally their largest asset. And we have to remember that and know why their emotions are the way they are and not take it personally.
hmm
That's the biggest thing. I remember when I was first in the business, I got in the business right out of UCLA in 1985. I was 22 years old. So I was very young. And I
hmm
remember those first few years, I was really affected by the negativity and, negative clients or clients that were upset. And I was taken to tears definitely a few times.
hmm
But I made a decision kind of early on that I would work really hard to not let that happen. And I think it served me well for sure. And
hmm
it's also served my clients well because I know where usually their anger is and it's not really directed at me. So try to just
Yeah.
stay on task. And that's been probably one of the bigger reasons for, our success and longevity.
Well, I'll share with you. My wife is a Libra, and I can tell you that I have firsthand experience with the Libra, and I'm always amazed at how well balanced she stays. And yeah, I'm curious. Maxine? What is she?
So my mom is an
Oh.
Aries woman, and she's a true Aries too. She's super strong
hmm
and super, focused, and she's on task,
hmm
and she's got, a lot to do and a little time. And we definitely have to balance each other out. We always have the same goals in mind,
hmm
but I think we definitely get there differently. She's much more
She plows through the problem,
excitable.
huh?
She's more excitable. Ah,
Yes, yes. Well, what's funny,
so,
funny stories. I'm an Aries, and
oh,
so
there you go.
so
That's funny.
we have the
Aries,
same
Libra.
balance
Mm-hmm.
between the Aries and Libra. They actually say we're opposites, right? So you're on one side of
Yeah.
the zodiac sign, and so is your mom. So that's cool how you guys are able to balance each other. Tell me about if you're prepping for your day. What does that look like? How do you get yourself prepped and primed for the day so you show up the best possible for yourself, for your family, and your clients?
I would say that that certainly has, changed over the years, right? When I was younger, I was a single person and had no one else to, think about, and then got married and had a husband, and then I had two children.
Mm-hmm.
And, working a family around a real estate business is certainly a task at hand, and my family was the most important thing. So in those years I was very, very boundary oriented on
Mm,
when I was working and when I wasn't. And I really stuck to that. Real estate's a 7 day a week 24-hour business if you let it be, but you can also have some time restrictions, and I really worked hard on that in those years. And then, obviously fast forward, my kids are now 28 and 25.
mm-hmm.
And now I would say that COVID kind of has given me a kind of a new little lease on life and the way I do things. Working out, I used to go really early, and kind of would stress me out almost because I
Mm-hmm.
was going early, and
Mm-hmm.
the night before I'd be like,
Sure.
So in COVID, time kind of changed, right, for
Mm-hmm.
all of us. And so a change that I've done over the last year is I don't go to the gym now till 8 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of late, and I'm done at 9.
Mm-hmm.
But I still get up early, and I clear emails, and I kind of clear my mind, and I clear my schedule, and then I go to the gym for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come back, it is a little bit later, and I'm not really ready to take on appointments until like 10, but I can get
Mm-hmm.
on the phone and do stuff while I'm getting ready. But that's been a really kind of a gift to myself, and just kind of relaxing about that. And I really enjoy it now. It's not like a chore that I'm racing to get to the gym at
Mm-hmm.
6:45 or something, where it just, I don't know. It's been a great thing, and it's a great start to my day. And then I'm kind of old school. I of course have my phone, and my calendars in my phone, but I use a calendar book for my calls.
Mm, okay.
So the night before, I always make a list. I'm a very much of a checklist person. And
Mm-hmm.
if I don't do that, my brain is literally like circling like 24/7. I don't even know what to do. So when I have my list, that completely helps me get through my day. And I do it the day before.
Okay. Like the night before, so you're
Yeah.
setting your intentions before the day.
100%. And I literally check, and then I turn the page for the next day. And if I didn't do some of the stuff, I move them to the next day
Mm-hmm.
so that there they are again in front of my face. It's a great way of just keeping check on what you're doing, and then going backwards sometimes too. It helps me remember things I did, and calling people. And, I'll make my call list there too, just
Mm-hmm.
for follow-ups, listing appointment follow-ups or buyers or whatever. So it's great. And that's how I stay, on task.
If somebody's listening who may not be in the same season that you're in, right, that they may have young kids and or whatnot, they feel like every day is a struggle, so to speak, and you're trying to get down that list, check mark a few of them. What's a great mentality, or what's a great something great for them to think about when you're feeling like, gosh, I'm not moving forward at the speed or the pace I'd like.
Real estate is definitely a business that, is up and down. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can go, especially if you're new in the business, you can go a long time without success.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got to just kind of stay the course. But I've really tried to take advantage when time is slow of enjoying my life, because there's so much of the time that it's crazy and you
Mm-hmm.
can't even take a breath. So I
Mm.
think that helps if you can try to enjoy the slow, because, it will come again. And listen, in COVID, things stopped for 2 months. But during that time, we didn't stop. We kept at it. So while stop and enjoy and smell the roses when things are slow, that doesn't mean you stop doing the things that got you where you are.
Sure.
And you got to make phone calls. You got to make the, make the rain. And that's what we are. We're rainmakers. You can't not be in this business.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of our business, is just reaching out, reaching out, talking to people. That's how you get things done. And it's not even if you're talking to somebody that you're looking for business, you're talking to them and usually something else will come of it. I always tell my team, because we have one, things are slow. Keep doing what you're doing. Do something. Whatever you're doing, it may not come from that activity, but I promise you it will come from somewhere, because you are being productive.
Yeah, maybe it's not a direct result of that thing that you're doing, but it's, your success will come as a byproduct if you're seeking out opportunity. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. That's exactly right, because your mindset's in the right place. You're not just lollygagging doing nothing. You're doing something to try to create the business. So if it doesn't come from there, I believe it will come from somewhere else, because you're in that mindset, and I think it really works.
That's beautiful. And talk to me about your coaching. I know you guys do coaching. How does that play a role with all of this?
It's huge. So we got into coaching when my son Cameron was just born. My mom and I were partners. We became partners when my 28-year-old now was a year old. And because I just decided that at that time I needed to, be a mom. And my mom and I joined partners so that I could be very, work, 9 to 5 and not anything else, and not weekends. And that was our deal. But after my second son was born, our business had gotten crazy. And I was like, I didn't come to work with you for this. I had my own business before we were working, and it was much, more streamlined. And this isn't what I wanted. I wanted to do this so I could, be a mom and work. Anyway, we got into coaching right after he was born, and it really changed our lives and really helped us set parameters and set guidelines around our work. We really started to do that. And with that mindset, once again, it's because it is a mindset and it's a decision. We stopped doing evening appointments. I mean, I don't remember the last time I went out on an evening, unless it's like some sunset showing of a buyer that, wants to see a home before they buy it, that kind of thing. But we don't make listing appointments at night, and we haven't for 20 years. We just, we work it during the day. If, we're going to go see somebody, we say, how about, Tuesday at 2 or Wednesday at 4 or whatever. We just don't make the option of the evening. And that's been the hugest thing that changed our business 25 years ago.
So, but I hear people say, you got to do whatever it takes, right? So how do you balance that with boundaries?
Listen, I mean, you can't be successful in this business without giving some years of literally being that person, right? Being available, working a lot, because that's the way this business is. But at the same time, if you work, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you are definitely going to burn out. There's just no way. And like you said, you're not going to be the right, agent for your clients. So, I just think it's important to set some boundaries, even in your, early times. I'm a real proponent of open houses, and obviously we can do them again. So, if you're going to work Sunday from 12 to 5, then give maybe yourself some time off on Tuesday afternoon or something. Like, just, it's an appointment too. And I think that's what people have to do. Nobody knows you're not, having lunch and taking, a few hours off. They don't have to know what you're doing. You have an appointment. And I think it's super important, and it keeps you happy.
Yes. And more whole.
I think that's, And again, like I said, it's not like I haven't worked, 7 days in a row and multiple hours like that. You have to go with what's needed. But I do think you need to also preset your time so that it's balanced.
Yes. No, absolutely. No, I get that. I know that you're a hard worker. I always like to, kind of be the devil's advocate and be like, okay, well, it's good to set boundaries, but then how do you hustle still? How do you, how do you do all that? And I think we're at a point in life, I think most of us that we're just like, especially after COVID, just how can I prioritize what I need to for my clients and my business to grow, but also not lose out on being at my kid's baseball game, right? Or, at the gym to take care of my body. Because if you don't take care of your body, well, 40, 50 years down the road, you're going to be paying for that. You're paying that price, right? So it's like, how do I approach it with balance? But then with that still energetic, that hunger, right? That hunger to succeed. You can probably answer this question better than most, but how is real estate like baseball? I know you kind of mentioned it earlier.
Well, I was saying, a game of failure in a way.
Uh-huh.
Baseball, which, and you talked about missing baseball games and not missing baseball games. I never missed a baseball game. I volunteered in the classroom
Mm,
once a week. I didn't miss anything of my kids, and yet I was a full-time working mom, and that was so important to me. And you know what? To talking about, you can go on an appointment, if you will, and not let your clients know where you are. You're just on an appointment. But when it came to stuff for my kids, I was extremely verbal about it.
mm,
I was like, my son has this, my son has that. We have a baseball game. And you know what? I might be on my phone out in the outfield dealing with some stuff, but I just would tell people,
mm-hmm,
like, I'm at my son's game, and I never missed a thing. I wouldn't do that. I
mm-hmm,
just wouldn't do that. And I'm on the other side of raising my children at this point,
mm-hmm,
and I have zero regret, you know?
mm. Yeah, that's where you
So
want to
that's,
be. It's like no
yeah.
regrets, right? You don't want to end that season of your life and be like, oh, I wasn't there. You have some other regret.
Oh, yeah. And it happens so fast. Like you have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, you blink and they're 25 and 28. I'm not kidding.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not kidding.
I believe it.
I
I
know you
believe it.
don't believe it right now. And I know people say it all the time, but I tell you, it's so true.
Yes. Oh, I heard
So,
I heard this song. My wife and I were driving. As you know, I'm in Hawaii right now, working and playing out here, and
yep.
and we were driving, and she's like, I want you to listen to the song. It's really cool. So I listened to it, and we both looked at each other when this singer. I don't know the song right now, but I'll send it to you later. He says, "Enjoy the fruit that's in season," and it was
Mm,
so beautiful for us because it's like,
yeah.
having a 2 and 5-year-old has highs and lows too, right?
Of
And
course.
and sometimes you're
It's
pulling your hair out,
hard.
and sometimes you're crying your eyes
Yeah.
out, just because
Right.
the beauty of raising kids. And I have two girls. You have two boys, correct?
I have two boys,
Yeah.
and boys are like so hard when they're your little girl's age,
Uh-huh.
and then they get pretty easy from that standpoint. And I know girls are a little easier when they're younger from an activity standpoint. My kids are professional baseball players now, so
Hmm.
the talk about baseball is always something that we relate to. And
Uh-huh.
that game of failure thing I was saying, it's whether it's calls, right? You're making a bunch of calls, and how many are you actually going to capture? How many do you have to make to actually get one lead that actually turns into something? And
Mm.
baseball, getting up to bat, you're a Hall of Famer if you fail 2 out of 3 times. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
When somebody might get knocked down by those numbers, you got to keep going, so to speak, right? You can't, you got to think about that from a positive perspective, getting your
yes.
getting your reps in and failing, so to speak, and so you get those averages.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And just, keep making your calls, and eventually one will come. And I don't necessarily mean cold calling. I'm talking about calling people that calling
Right,
people that you've met, warm calls.
right,
It's amazing how they like to hear from us. And you're scared to call them, but you call them and they go, "Oh my God, it's so nice to talk to you."
right. Yes, no, absolutely. It's also finding the human element in everything that we do. A lot of times, even in any business, even in my business, it's like I also have to make my calls and connect, and but it's also like not about the numbers necessarily. Like, oh, I got to make 20 calls. Obviously, it's a goal to have, whatever, or to connect with 20 people or whatever it is. Just connect to connect. Like, how are you? How are you? Are you manage? How
Exactly.
are you able to? Do you need anything? Like, what are your
Exactly.
and then there's power in that, and you find the human connection that we all truly seek, but sometimes is disguised with the business activity. Anything that is your current theme of your life, like, is there something that's kind of the North Star in your life right now that keeps you going?
It always comes back for me about, the balance, and especially after COVID and the lack of travel. I love to travel. And so kind of planning some trips again and going places. And our son's on the Phillies, so we just got back from Philadelphia watching him, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll do once a month trips to do that. And then we got to get some sunshine in there. So, working really hard and playing really hard, that's kind of our mantra. And
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. So
Mm.
that's kind of where I'm at. Work hard, play hard.
I love it. I love it. Well, Marty, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time today. You've been fantastic. Thank you for sharing with us your current successes and the lessons you've learned along the way. Super powerful. And we wish you continued success and hope to have you back on at some point.
Thank you so much, David. Thanks for having me.
All right.